Hi, this is Aaron. I've been narrating audiobooks for 3 months now, so I'm fairly new to it. Today's November 6th, and I got approved to do my first one on August 6th, so definitely 3 months. Anyway, I've completed 6 projects. Five are live so far. One is just in limbo. I'm not sure. They typically seem to take about 2 weeks to, drop from the time that they're submitted and approved by the author. And I've got one that's hanging, but no big deal. As I started narrating that one more and more, I had this creeping feeling that it was an AI book. So it's not something I'm super excited about. If it has any value to some people, great. I'm not going to knock the author or the assembler of the AI, anything like that. But some of them you can tell when it's a human, and sometimes you're not sure, and sometimes it's definitely a human. Anyway, on the quick auditions, which might sometimes only be as short as a sentence or two or a paragraph to 2 or 3 pages. Sometimes it's hard to get that feeling, but as we figure it out, it gets easier. So one thing I would say that I've found so far, and again, I'm far from an expert. There are a lot of people out there that have been doing this way longer than me, but I'm looking at this more as a beginner, somebody starting out. So if that, you know, kind of includes you as well, thank you. That's why I'm here. I just want to share the good, the bad, and the ugly so far. Overall, I think it's kind of a fun thing to do. I've gotten way more proficient at the editing side, which is always something that kind of escaped me in the past. I had looked at ACX 5 years ago, probably around October of 2020, and I just could not wrap my head around everything that you had to do, you know, with the technical side of it to make it all work. But now that I've got more patience, I've had more practice doing other similar things, and I had a really good friend, a really good online friend that really walked me through it. We did a good left seat, right seat deal there, and it finally clicked. So without his help, I never would have gotten to where I am. So thank you to him. I'm not going to name him here, but I'll definitely thank him offline again for that. So there are a lot of different things I've noticed. One thing I noticed is I've got a common first name combined with a common last name, which, isn't really that big a deal. Except I hadn't really thought of using my middle initial early on. I think my first 2 or 3 books I didn't use it, and then I found out there's actually a woman with my name who's been doing ACX years longer than me. Probably sounds way better than me as well. Anyway, so I've recently started using my middle initial just to kind of differentiate, because one weak link I've noticed on ACX, if there's a narrator that you like and you search their name, it doesn't just come up with them. It'll come up with anybody else with the same first and last name. So it's not really tied to particular projects they've done. It's just very rudimentary, first, last name. So throwing the middle initial in there, I'm kind of hoping differentiates a little more. We'll see if that actually helps. So that's one thing I noticed. Another thing I've noticed is there are a lot of people on ACX that write way more books than seem humanly possible. There's one man I spotted. It looks like he's maybe 30, 35, and he's got 852 finished titles, which to me just doesn't seem plausible. So one thing I would kind of suggest against is gravitating towards some of these projects that are quantity versus quality. Although when you're starting out, sometimes you don't have those choices, right? Sometimes you have to take what you can get, build up kind of a portfolio of finished projects, and then you'll have more credibility for maybe some of the more viable ones. So you might end up taking a few of those, but you'll see as you search through the ACX available projects, you'll see some guys that take up 2 or 3 pages, literally, same guy. And it's like, did the guy really write that many books, or is this low effort? So that's something I kind of look at. The other thing that kind of struck me was I wasn't paying that much attention. I was doing audition after audition. I think at this point I've done 52 auditions. I've got 6 completed projects and 4 that I was selected for. So 10 out of 52. So, 42 no's I had to hear. But it was funny. I wasn't paying that much attention, and I realized I saw a name more than once, and I'm like, wait a minute, what is this? And I looked, and I actually did auditions for 3 different books from this guy that just cranks them out. Didn't get approved for any of them, so no big deal there. But I'm thinking, if this guy didn't like me on the first one, why did I assault his ears on the second and third, right? So now I'm keeping a list. If I get rejected on a project, it's not that I'm offended personally. It's just that I know I'm not the right sound for that author, so I'm not going to waste my time. So I had one where I did 3 auditions to the same guy. I had another one where I did 2 auditions to the same guy. So it just seems like kind of a waste of time. If they don't like you for something, maybe they might like you for something else. I could be positive and say that's realistic, plausible outcome. But at the same time, let's be real. If they don't like you once, are they going to like you the 10th or 20th time? Or are you just going to seem like a crazy ex that's stalking them? So I generally will audition 1 time for a person, and that's pretty much it. And if they're around enough to have multiple auditions, maybe they're just cranking out way too many titles anyway. So that's another consideration there. So one attempt per person, and then I move on with my life and let them move on with theirs. So that's something else I've figured out over time. And I'm trying to think if there are any more good high points. Again, I'm fairly new with this. So over time, I will begin sharing more as I have more insight. Again, right now, because I'm moderately new, I don't have that much experience or wisdom to share. But at the same time, I haven't been doing it so well or so proficiently that I forgot a lot of the stumbling blocks that other people, either just starting out or contemplating getting into this, might be running into. So that's all I'm trying to share here. I'll keep adding thoughts. I'll upload fresh videos if as I think of things, and maybe it'll help somebody. That's the whole goal. There's so much I've found in the way of tutorials that help me figure out how to align my Audacity. So without Audacity being properly formatted, with the ACX checks, I wouldn't even know I was doing anything wrong. Now, of course, having the ACX check plugin for your Audacity is only the first part of the problem. You're identifying the problem. You still have to figure out all of the tweaks that you'll need to do to get it in compliance so it'll pass. And that took probably another 6 to 8 tutorial videos elsewhere. Again, there are a lot of people out there putting out good content that explain how this works. I'm not the guy for that. Why reinvent the wheel? There are plenty of people doing that. I'm kind of just sharing my experiences and what that is, in case that helps any of you. So anyway, thanks for checking in. More to follow over time, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.